Hello friends, followers and channel members, welcome to another video here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and after nearly a month, the Fenix A320 has been given yet another update. Each update that we get from the Fenix team is always very in-depth as they look to try and make this aircraft as realistic as possible, and they're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Since the last update a month ago, the big thing that lots of people were complaining about was how difficult it had become to try and land this aircraft. In this video, we're going to take you through in detail what has changed with this update and have a look at landing the aircraft just to see what has been tweaked. It has to be said though that landing the aircraft, even after the last update, whilst yes, it may have become a little trickier, it had also become more realistic. And I'm going to show you a method you can use which perhaps will also help to improve your landings. The update itself then is done through the Fenix app. Run this when you've not got the simulator running, and you'll see in the top right hand corner that you can click to download the new update. Clicking that will start the download in the background. Depending on how your PC security is set up, you may need to go and confirm to Windows that the file is safe by selecting Keep It. Once you've done that, you'll then be able to run the new exe file that has been downloaded to your specified location. Once you've accepted the license, just go through the various menus to confirm and install, let that download, and that should then, once it's finished, upgrade you to version 105.139. So a couple of things to begin with that I know many of you will be happy about. They have adjusted the custom low speed friction model. What this means is that when you want to manage descent, no longer should the aircraft as often hug the bottom of the speed gate. That's not to say, however, that you won't see it at the bottom of the speed gate, and this is completely normal depending on how various things have been set up. The fact that this has been addressed though means you'll probably not see it quite as often. The team have also made the flight deck a little bit brighter and a few minor textural changes as well, so you might notice when flying in the daytime that things are perhaps a little bit easier to see. One of the other things I noticed straight away was that the performance of the Fenix seemed to have improved as well. Now, the release notes don't say that they've optimized anything with regards to performance, but it certainly felt that way to me, and I would be very interested to know if you are getting a better performance now following this update than you were before. Leave a comment down below. I'd like to know how you're getting on with the performance following this new update. The Fenix team have also added a lighter or heavier option to the side stick controls. Now, this is an option that you can access through the McDo, but what does this do and what is the difference? Well, the lighter controls should be used if you are using standard PC hardware like the TCA Thrustmaster side stick or any other side stick. The heavier option is for hydraulically dampened Airbus side stick replicas. The lighter is for the standard PC hardware that most of us are using, so make sure you've got this set correctly in the McDo. So let's move on to the big one, landings. There have been some small tweaks made to the flare mode behavior, so this means that in theory we may find this a little bit more reactive so that you will be able to flare the aircraft correctly and not end up dropping like a stone. So what I've spent quite a bit of time doing following this update was just performing landing after landing just to see if I found it was any different. And I'll be honest with you, it's only a slight difference, but I have found that when you start to initiate that flare at around 30 feet, it does feel a little bit more reactive. Now, one of the difficulties we have, of course, is that potential to overflare, and this is even more difficult when you're sat on a 2D screen and not surrounded by a 3D environment, as you get a little bit of a false perspective on your screen, and I've spoken about this before. You'll hopefully have noticed in watching the video on the screen that every time we are coming in for a landing, even when we're still sort of a few miles out, your aircraft is already pitched nose up. And because of this, that's pretty much a good starting pitch attitude to land the aircraft anyway. The flare, which is initiated at around 30 feet, is just a very slight tease back on the side stick just to start to arrest that rate of descent, but we don't really want to apply too much back pressure, otherwise the nose is going to pitch up and then we get a bit of extra lift, so we end up floating down the runway. You can see here on screen that the nose is already pitched up just by looking at the primary flight display. So what can we do to help us get a better perception here in a virtual flight deck? Well, on a 2D screen, it almost looks like our nose is pitched down. You look straight out the window now, it certainly doesn't look like you've got a pitch up attitude. A quick look outside though will confirm that that is exactly what we've got. So to help get a better perspective, use the down arrow just to drop your viewpoint a little bit, so you're sat a little bit lower down. And this is, I think, more akin to the real view that pilots have compared to the default view in the simulator, and it should help you get a better chance of gauging the pitch and the attitude of the aircraft, so you don't feel that need to pull back too much on the side stick, resulting in an over rotation and a float down the runway. Go ahead and try this out. Just use the down arrow to drop it just by a couple of degrees, and then come back into the comments and let me know if you're finding that that helps you gain a better landing and touchdown here in the Fenix. The Fenix team have also adjusted the ILS and glide slope tracking for better tracking of the glide slope when the autopilot is on. This means that intercepting the ILS should feel a lot better now. And doing a quick test coming here into London Gatwick, that's exactly what I found. It seemed to work very well, picking up the localizer as expected, not shooting through it, and then locking onto that glide slope right at the correct time, and also tracking it all the way down until I disengage the autopilot. The team have also gone and fixed the excessive nose down and ballooning that you get both in manual flight and auto flight when you are flaps 2 and then you pull to flaps 3 for landing. So with all of these tweaks to the flare mode and the handling of the aircraft, how are AutoLands working here in the Fenix? Well, let's go and take a look. The ability now of Microsoft Flight Simulator since the last sim update means that we really can create conditions where you can't see the runway until those final few feet. Basically, conditions which are perfect for low visibility procedures, meaning that an AutoLand is required. So I went to find some terrible weather and set the aircraft up for an AutoLand, hands off from me, just to see how it flew the approach. And I always think it's an amazing sight when you see an aircraft just appear a few feet from the ground out of the clouds to go and land. Sitting in the flight deck, even here in the simulator, it's a strange feeling to know that you're seconds from the ground and just at the last minute the runway lights come in. This is the AutoLand that the Fenix provided me with today, and I have to say I thought it was really nice. Not just really nice, but it also gave me quite a nice touchdown. AutoLands aren't known for being the kindest to passengers, but in this instance I don't think we had anyone complaining. For those of you who use GSX, you may have found at times that your brakes were on fire. So if you check your brake temperatures, find out you've got an issue, there is a way around this now. This should be fixed with the update, but if not, if you go into your failures and the maintenance page, you'll see that the failures there, you've got a high brake temperature. Simply press the clear button on the McDo and then press the line side key next to the failure, and that will clear it for you, so the problem is solved. The exterior lights on the Fenix following this update are now all volumetric. What does that mean? Well, it's easier to demonstrate it. So let's say here we are flying at night. If I increase the humidity, you can see now that the strobe lights are actually reflecting back off the water vapor particles in the air because we've got high humidity. Again, if I drop the humidity down, you'll see that they disappear again. If I now bring the cloud layer up, you'll see that in the clouds the lights are reflecting back off the clouds, and as a passenger this is a sight that I'm sure many of you are familiar with seeing when passing through a cloud layer. Finally then, the big one. Yes, Contrails are back in the Fenix. Sadly we lost them with the update that came out a month ago, but following this latest update the Contrails are back and looking better than ever. So if you like to see those sat outside the aircraft during a nice flight at a high altitude, then there you go, they are there just as they were before. The team have also improved lots of the sounds as well, things like the packs, flats, slaps, fuel pumps, etc. So you may notice a different soundscape as well following this update. I'd love to hear how you're getting on with this update, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what are your hopes for the future. So please do leave a comment down below on how you're finding it following this new release. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, then please do leave a like, and of course if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any future content. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all again in the next one. Bye bye for now.